Hi, welcome back to Unchained Crochet. This video is going to, for now, fall under Inside the Designing Mind playlist. It is not quite a design yet, although I'm really leaning towards these yarns. And I'm going to draw out what I'm planning. These are two of the same colorway. These just happen to be some Yarn Bee Dazzling. All of them are that I picked up at the Hobby Lobby clearance for $1.49 each. So this yarn calls for a size 7 knitting needle or an eye hook. So I would consider this a worsted weight based on the hook recommendation. But to me, it feels kind of like it's between a worsted and a sport weight. I'm looking for the number. I don't think it's got the number on here, but there's 249 yards in each skein. I'm not sure how many of these skeins I'm going to need, as I am with most of my designs that I do. I usually end up with more than enough or need to order more. So as far as I know, this has not been discontinued. If so, I may sub a yarn or just get some off eBay if I run out of one. So this colorway is Berry Blush. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it. The sparkle is actually like a rosy pink. It doesn't show up good on camera. And it goes from that to that. I'm not even sure if this is a slow changing color or not. You can see some of the darker inside there. I think it's a slow gradient. Let's look at what they got on the front. Yeah, it looks like a slow changing yarn. So there's 2 of the Berry Blush. Then I've got 4 of these in Morning Haze. Not a huge color change to this one that I can tell so far. Looks like it goes from lighter gray to more of a dustier gray. I think this is probably the darkest. Just a guess. 4 of those. And then I've got this colorway called Tortoise Shell. Very appropriate name. It's got gold in it and I don't care. This one's got the metallic in that one is kind of a light blue. That shows up pretty good on camera. They look like little lights. They're so pretty. But this one has gold. So that one's got the rose pink color sparkle. This one's got blue sparkle. And then this one's got the gold. Here's the inner colorway where it's lighter. There's the darker. It's even got some yellow in it. So I feel like combined, like if I combine these into what I'm planning is a Dreamcatcher vest, then I feel like that this would be not enough colorway for me. I'm a color person. You could do yours all in one colorway if that's what you wanted to do. Find you a nice worsted weight yarn or sport weight yarn and get to hooking. Just make it all in one color and then change colors when it comes to the feathers for your project. But I'm going to try to incorporate all of these colors, these 3 colors. And then for my dream catcher, on the back of the vest, I'm considering this. This is Mimosa from Hobby Lobby. $1.37, normally $5.49. And it is, let's look at the fiber content, see if I can get to it. 62% cotton, 38% rayon. So it may have some shrink to it. I don't think there's going to be a lot of shrinkage. I'll probably pre-wash this before attaching it to the back of the vest. It's in the color white. And the shimmer to that, it's just like a tone-on-tone shimmer. There's not like a separate strand running through. It just looks plied with a shimmery yarn. That's probably the, what was it? That's probably the rayon, the shiny stuff. And then the flatter stuff is like separate strands of cotton. Or I may use this Fresh Haven. I feel like the Fresh Haven, it seems heavier. That one calls for a D hook. And it's a number 2. This one is a number 4. That would work up quicker. So not a lot of detail work to do with it. We'll look up closer once I get to showing you my drawing as I draw it. But we'll compare those two next to one of these, just to compare the weights. I don't want the Dreamcatcher to weigh down the project. This is, the ivory one is Fresh Haven in ivory. And it is 100% tencel. As far as I'm aware, tencel does not shrink. So it feels about the same weight. We'll look at those closer. Okay, we're just going to compare these yarns a little bit more. Let me adjust my lighting here. Sorry about any shadows. I'm going to go over this way just a bit. So this one is 98% acrylic and 2% polyester. The polyester, I'm sure, is that sparkle thread that runs through it. It's very soft, nice and cushy little ball. You really can't feel the metallic in this yarn. Again, it's the Yarn Bee Dazzling. 256 yards. For these skeins that I have in this colorway, maybe enough to make the vest, but I think it would be kind of boring. Just my opinion. You can go with what you want when this becomes a design tutorial, or you can jump ahead and just make it on the fly on your own. So I want to compare the weight of this these 3 different types of yarns. So I'm just going to take a little bit off here. I can find a little strand here to compare. Oh, the mimosa looks like somebody started pulling at it, so it's wrapped around the ball on the outside. These 2 here, the mimosa, the white one, and the ivory, what is it? Fresh Haven. The mimosa says it's a 2, I think. What weight does it say? The mimosa, the white one, is 62% cotton, 38% rayon, and it says number 2 fine. And the Fresh Haven let me pan out just a bit. Okay, that's better. The Fresh Haven, remember, it says that it is a 4 weight, I think. I could be wrong. It's just the one I couldn't find the weight on it. There it is. It's right there at the 4. So it's the same weight. Probably not physical weight, but diameter, you know, wraps per inch, stitches to the inch kind of deal. So I like those together. I like this one, I think, more so than the white, because I feel like the white is, while it looks good with the gray, and I like the sheen of it, if I'm going to use my other 2 colors, I feel like the white is kind of too stark, and it kind of just, I don't know, it just kind of puts it up there. It really ungrounds the whole project. I feel like these colors together are very grounded and earthy, and remind me of desert colors. And this is going to be a boho type vest, so I think this is going to be the way to go, is to use this one. So those 4 together should be good. Sorry, I'm kind of moving around. And I may later change my mind. This is open for for that, being inside the Designing Mind section. It is not set in stone for sure which yarns I'm going to use. That's just what I'm leaning towards right now. So the plan is one of two construction ways, and let me adjust my camera again. Okay, what I have in mind so far is to construct it similar to how I did my cardi wrap that has, if you've watched my earlier videos, I wore it once or twice in those. It's in purples and lavenders. I think there might be some grays in there, and white. It was used with Mandala Baby. So that construction went like this. You started in the middle with a square similar to a granny square, and just keep going around and growing and growing and growing your square with rows. And say this is your shoulder width right here. It come out about 5 inches or so past my shoulders. And then I stopped going round and round and started going just straight back and forth on each side, leaving an armhole. And this section here that would be left open would be half of what your arm circumference is, and not the very tip top of your arm, because this kind of folds over, this corner kind of folds over your shoulder when it's worn. So, you know, you do it about 5 to 6 inches down, you start your armhole, and then complete that row, and then you just keep working. You know, you pick up and make a chain or foundation right here on your next row, across that opening that you just created here. You've chained and gone to there. So that is, you've skipped these stitches right here. So does that make sense? You're starting an armhole, so you're starting to work just on one side like this. And when you start your armhole, you've stopped working in the rounds. You get back to one of these edges and you start working like this, chain over that armhole you want, chain that much space, and then finish that row. And then you work back, and when you work back, would be straighter. It's not going to be gapping like that. You work into the chains that you just created for your armhole, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you would do that on both sides. This is a construction I'm very familiar with. I've done several items like this. I don't know, 3 or 4 different ones. So that's one thought, one idea. Another idea that I'm exploring is to use triangle shapes. So these would virtually be shawls, basically put together. And you could leave it at that and fit armholes in here somewhere when you join these together. But the construction would start here, and the rows would be added as such. This could be interesting. The dream catcher, where I want to place the dream catcher, would be right here in the back. Maybe not so big. And then have some feathers hang down from it. Some crocheted feathers right there with all the yarns incorporated into the feathers. So then this model here, I kind of am thinking out loud with this. This one here is I think with the dream catcher, let's just say this. With the dream catcher, I think the approach I'm going to take would be to make my dream catcher first. It's basically going to be a doily. And figure out what size I want that piece. And then make sure it's not too big. But start with that. And then look at it laid over the skeins of yarn. So like all of these yarns here. So line these up. Even take the ball bands off of them and lay that just 2 by 2. Lay the dream catcher on top of it, because I want to decide if I'm going to use all of these and do the back portion, at least a good part of the middle of the back portion in this one colorway. And then beyond the edges of the dream catcher, maybe get into a little bit of striping right there, so that it's not too busy behind the dream catcher where you've got several colors showing through the gaps of the doily. So then this edge here going around, I could then go ahead and do a striping effect and alternate yarns. And then whichever one, pattern I come up with for a repeat, maybe 2 rows of one color, 2 rows of another color, 2 rows of another color, and then extend that for the front. Just keep going, 2 rows of this, 2 rows of that, 2 rows of this. Do it in that manner. So this one here, if I were to do the same, I think it could be interesting to take a third, make another piece even. Like so, and maybe make this not so wide right here. This would be what goes across your shoulders and extends just beyond your shoulders. So maybe make it smaller triangles. And then, here, that would bring these in, and maybe put the armholes somewhere here. And then it would be kind of wrap more around the body that way. So, I've kind of just toyed with this idea. I think as far as construction goes, I think that this one would be more tedious, because you're going to have seams to sew wherever you were to put these triangles. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 seams if you do all 5 rectangles in these mini shawls. And I think it would take a lot more yarn. I think the coverage would be fairly decent. But I think if I did this one, I'm familiar with the construction already, so that's a cinch. It's really just a matter of deciding when I want to change colors and all that. So I think we got a winner with this one. And I like the way that these drape in the front. When you have it on, let's just draw a crappy person right here. When you're wearing it, it comes like this. And if you want to, you can extend that one side in front of the other kind of deal. And pin it right there. Or use a shawl pick. Not sure if I'll use a button again with one of these. I did on the purple one. And I don't know, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. I think a shawl pick would look nice. So that would be with it, fastened in front. And so you would have these stripes like this. And then if you wore it open, I'm sure you guys have seen these little, sorry, I don't draw people very good. I always have these arms that look like big fire hoses. So So your opening, you know, is right about there once again. But if you let it hang down, you get this drapey effect, you know, where it kind of just hangs down like that. So both of them, you know, kind of, and if you're on the go and everything, you could pin it right here. But if you're on the go, they kind of have, and you don't have it fastened there, they tend to just open up and fall and drape down lower. So, not too bad at my scratch of the drapiness. So, that is how it would look closed. And this is how it would look more open. And then the stripes, you know, would be following this direction, kind of diagonal as it's draping down. So, I like that. I like both of those. And this, I think, is winner chicken dinner for this design. So I hope you've enjoyed this little mini episode of Inside the Designing Mind. And hopefully this will be coming to a playlist to you soon. I am sticking with my rule of finishing one tutorial series before I start another. I think this one will be next. I want to get the Freebirds Cape Scarf done. If you haven't seen that playlist, check that playlist out. It's very easy construction. I kind of coach you through, you know, how to determine how big to make it, you know, customizing it for you. One thing I don't really focus on is how many yards of this or that you're going to need. Look through what you have, put some stuff together, be brave, venture out there. If you want to use, you know, one yarn throughout or a couple yarns throughout, just make sure you have plenty of it or can get your hands on more of it. And I think that's all I have for you today. Yep, that's it. Talk to you guys later. Have a good day.